Today we're going to talk about Mack Brown wanting to be like Oklahoma and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. So it's OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today we're going to talk about Mack Brown at North Carolina. Now, the headline in Andy Staples' excellent feature in Sports Illustrated is basically Mack Brown wants to be like Oklahoma, and he said as much. He wants to run the ball and be able to throw it really deep, really far, and he wants to put up a bunch of points. Now, there's a lot of laughs in here. Number one, because why didn't you just do that at Texas in the last years that you were there at Texas? Now, it's a little bit unfair because Mack Brown had 9 consecutive double-digit win seasons when it was still hard to get double-digit win season. He also had 2 Big 12 titles and a national championship to go along with Vince Young being perhaps the best quarterback to come out of Texas at Texas. He also had a bunch of misses, including Johnny Manziel, Todd Reesing, Ryan Tannehill, Andrew Luck, all these quarterbacks that came out of high school football in Texas that he flat out just didn't think could run his offense, and that was his demise. Now, he also owned a bunch of this, saying, look, I was really good at North Carolina, where he apparently is still a deity, and I was really good at Texas. But one of the things that he trapped himself with, and I think this would be most coaches, is he didn't look at new ideas because he didn't have time to. I think a lot of coaches will tell you the same thing, because I read the quote that a lot of people read, which was, hey, I learned more in the 5 years I was away from being a coach while I was working in TV than I did in the previous 37. And I'm like, yo, that's a bad look. But the way that he framed it was, I got 5 years worth of new ideas watching college football, being able to go to different programs, talk to different head coaches about what they do and how they do it and why it works. And then he built a staff that he could trust around guys like Tim Brewster, Dre Bly, and of course, Phil Longo. Now, we get to the headline of this video, which is Mack Brown consulted both Kliff Kingsbury and Lincoln Riley about who he should hire to be his offense coordinator, and apparently both of them pointed to Ole Miss's Phil Longo, for which Mack Brown poached. Now, it's going to be really interesting to see who is the starting quarterback at North Carolina. My bet is on Sam Howell, one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and they just really don't have a lot in North Carolina because Larry Fedora didn't do a whole lot keeping the cupboard full. And as much as I like Bubba Cunningham, because, you know, Bubba used to be at the University of Tulsa when it was good, and that's my alma mater, I'm not necessarily sure about his hires outside of perhaps stewarding North Carolina basketball, which we know is good. But getting Mack Brown into North Carolina, when before he took the job at Texas, he was like 20-3 in like 2 seasons. So it weren't like they were bad. And we have this thinking about Mack Brown that he just wasn't a good head coach because, well, the way that it ended is the way that it ended. Basically, anything coming after 2009, we don't have good things to say about Mack Brown. And because Texas is such a big football university, the biggest in the country, we're always going to look at Texas and say, why didn't you do more? I still do that. I believe that Texas should be a top 5 program year in and year out. I believe the Big 12 championship should be between Oklahoma and Texas every single year, and that game should be what the SEC title game is, because honestly, those are the only 2 programs in the Big 12 that are capable of competing on the scale that Georgia, Alabama, Clemson, LSU, Auburn can. You'll notice how a bunch of those teams that I just named came out of the SEC. In the Big 10, we're basically talking about Ohio State, right? We would love to be talking about Ohio State, Nebraska, or Ohio State, Nebraska, Michigan, and Penn State, but that just ain't what it is. Same thing could be said about USC, who was so bad that they opened their practices to the public, let alone media, and Clay Helton's seat is so hot, he might get fired in the middle of the season if they don't show something. And Graham Harrell might be the interim head coach because it was always looking like Lynn Swann wanted to hire an air raid coach because he got Kliff Kingsbury, then he went and got Graham Harrell. And now that apparently is what everybody wants to do because Mack Brown, talking to the best offensive coordinator in college football today, if not the best offensive coordinator in football today, and Lincoln Riley saying, who should I hire? And then talking to Kliff Kingsbury, who exclusively ran the air raid. We're all waiting to see what that looks like as the head coach for the Arizona Cardinals. But it's clear that everybody wants to run what Hal Mumme was running 20 years ago and what Mike Leach is running right now. Because we went from thinking that Gardner Minshew was just a dude who was going to have a glorified grad assistant role at Alabama to him legitimately being in the Heisman Trophy conversation because he transferred to Washington State and just ran Mike Leach's offense. There is something to the air raid in today's modern version of football where we have more penalties for savage hits, where we can't put our hands on players, where we are taking chances every time that we're jockeying a receiver, and where the personal foul penalty is going to get called. It's about space. That's what it is. It's a math problem on a football field now. Phil Longo understands that. I know that because I took Jordan Ta'amal when I had the college football fantasy football league that I got torched in, but I was picking him based on what they do with the ball in the air, not what Ole Miss's offense would be. Speaking of which, probably should have drafted A.J. Brown while I was at it, and they ran the ball pretty well as well. But that's the thing that you want to build at North Carolina, and that's why if you're a North Carolina fan and you're watching this, you're going, yeah, we would love to be like Oklahoma. That is a team that was scoring 50 points a game last year. They play in the college football playoff. They've had 4 straight Big 12 titles. They have the most coveted football coach in America. And they had 2 Heisman Trophy winners in back-to-back seasons. And, of course, we're able to land Jalen Hurts. There's a lot of things to like about Oklahoma, and I don't necessarily think that it's controversial that a coach of any caliber would say that they want to be like Oklahoma. I just think it's as funny as you do that it's Mack Brown that's saying it, because why didn't he just do that at Texas and go hire Lincoln Riley to be his offensive coordinator when he was at Tech or when he was at East Carolina? Maybe that would have been a thing. Maybe it wouldn't have been a thing, but it's fun to think about. Because one of the things that we do know that Mack Brown wasn't very good at in the latter years was spotting a quarterback, and we know that Lincoln Riley is the best in the entire world at spotting what makes a good quarterback and putting that quarterback in positions to succeed. I find this wildly interesting. I'm interested to see if North Carolina can put something together in an ACC that is dominated by Clemson. Miami is going to be a lot of fun with Manny Diaz, so we're going to get that Mack Brown-Manny Diaz matchup, we hope, right, between the two, the defensive coordinator and the guy that hired him. Also, you got in there Florida State and what they're trying to rebuild, and they're a dumpster fire. But there's a lot of things to be fond of in the ACC right now, not to mention whatever Vatech comes up with and what Virginia might look like. I mean, it could be fun. But again, I think it's most important that Mack Brown is trying to open himself up to what college football has become and not what it was when he left. All right, that's it for me. Doses.